Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have a quick story I wanted to share with you, so this should be a very short video, but I wanted to talk about and just report on this because I hadn't really seen anyone else reporting on this, and that is the continued expansion of the surveillance state to space now. Space is going to be the new frontier of intelligence gathering, apparently, in surveillance and spying. So I want to bring up this article uh, talking about Booz Allen Hamilton. Booz Allen Ventures makes its first space investment. Albedo satellites and their potential to provide persistent overhead surveillance caught the eye of Booz Allen executives, leading the venture capital arm to make its first investment in a space startup. You will remember Booz Allen Hamilton as being the NSA contractor that Edward Snowden was working for when he made his whistleblower disclosures about the unauthorized surveillance of American citizens and the warrantless surveillance that the NSA was engaging in. So everybody knows Booz Allen Hamilton from that they're a federal contractor. So let's go ahead and read this. Booz Allen's venture capital arm chose remote sensing startup Albedo as its first investment in a space company because of its potential to transform intelligence gathering, a senior executive said January 23rd. Albedo on Tuesday announced it raised $35 million to build and launch a network of ultra-high resolution Earth imaging satellites. Several venture firms participated in the funding round, including Booz Allen Ventures. Booz Allen, a large consulting firm known for its work with the government and military, launched its corporate venture arm in 2022 and manages a fund of about $100 million. Quote, "We are focused on investments in data coming from space," Chris Bogdan, executive vice president at Booz Allen and head of the firm's space business, told Space News. He said Booz Allen intends to take an active role in working with Albedo to bring its technology to defense and intelligence users, as well as civilian applications like climate, infrastructure, agriculture, energy, and urban planning. Booz Allen Ventures plans to invest in a broad range of tech sectors besides space, including analytics, cybersecurity, and AI. Of course, the U.S. military today relies on limited surveillance aircraft, drone flights, high-altitude balloons, or intermittent satellite passes for overhead intelligence, Bogdan said, whereas Albedo promises more persistent eyes in the sky. Great, that's what we need, just more eyes in the sky. And the reason I'm, covering this is because this is the kind of thing that you can't opt out of. You can't opt out of this. These eyes in the sky that can watch adversary movements and track targets of interest. Oh yeah, I'm sure this will just be, for our adversaries, please. Albedo's low-flying satellites are designed to provide surveillance from very low Earth orbit, flying at altitudes of 200 to 300 miles. That allows the satellites to gather high-resolution imagery without having to expose aircraft crews or drones to the risk of being shot down by adversary weapons. Bogdan, a retired Air Force lieutenant general, said having a bird's eye view of the entire battlefield updated every few minutes with 10-centimeter resolution would be a significant improvement compared to current technologies. Quote, "For a client who needs very accurate photos in the middle of the Pacific, a very low Earth orbit satellite can revisit that target 5 or 6 times a day at a resolution that's 5 times better than what's in low orbit today and comparable and better to what our aerial assets do," he said. Despite advances in space-based surveillance, the U.S. military has struggled to make the transition away from aerial platforms. Bogdan pointed out, quote, "The Air Force culture favors air platforms. When assets are in space, in some people's minds, they have less control. Many government agencies compete for access to a limited number of satellites, and the Air Force feels like they don't want to have to get in line. But it's also true satellites today can't provide the same accuracy and resolution and the same quality of data that those airplanes could. Albedo is going to be one of the first companies to prove that it can happen. Oh, Great. So yeah, Space Force awards Booz Allen 630 million contract for satellite system support. Yeah, of course. So again, I don't think that this is going to be limited to by any means um the battlefield, or whatever. I believe it will be used also to monitor people that their regime doesn't like, right? And again, it's just one of those things that you now have to be worried about just being outside, that you could have these satellites overhead that could zoom in, like the resolution on it is that good that they could like zoom in and maybe read what you have on your phone in your hand or something. That's just kind of crazy to think about. And I think also that the surveillance has become so pervasive. It's in all of our consumer products. I mean, a lot of these products are dual use technology. So it's something that is like presented as like, oh, social media, right? But the dual use of a social media company would be also gathering information and data sets for the government, who is probably purchasing that data. So a lot of the stuff is just, I don't know, I find it very concerning, and I think surveillance has become so pervasive that people forget about it. It just becomes like a part of everyday life, and then the risk is that it gets normalized when it isn't normal. So I don't think that you could trust the government to, limit its spying to just, oh, the battlefield. Now, on the other side of that, I think that obviously it is important that we are able to be competitive um, in the military sense. So you have to kind of balance that with your national security needs with maintaining civil rights. And I think our government has shown that they don't care about them. There's been no reforms to FISA. There's been no reforms to the Patriot Act and things like this. And we're now moving into a future too, where they are talking about um, a domestic war on terror and things like that. When we also have robotics and AI, it's just very concerning that we're like moving into a Skynet future. So I'm interested to know, what do you guys think about space surveillance? Is this something you've even thought about? And what do you think of Booz Allen Hamilton being, some of the first to invest in this, of course, for the government? All right, guys, have a good day. Whee!